Hi, my name is Jenel Shaw, and I'm the Executive Director for Arts Accessibility Network Manitoba and the Liaison Director of the Manitoba Cultural Society of the Deaf. Today, I'm going to be speaking to you about access as a creative catalyst, a discussion exploring how accessibility in public spaces can spark civic engagement and inclusion in Canada. To do so, I'll be exploring a project that AANM did back in 2014 called the Wayfinding Project. Before we begin, though, I would like to review a few terms that might arise during this session. So, the terms that we're going to be looking at will come up in just a second here. Ableism, wayfinding, disability culture, crip theory, and cripping. So ableism is discrimination in favor of able-bodied individuals. So when you think about ableism, think of all the other isms such as racism or sexism. It's the same sort of idea, the idea that people are discriminated against because they're not able-bodied. Another term that we're going to talk about is wayfinding. This term is one that we use for our project. So wayfinding encompasses all the ways in which people and animals orient themselves in the physical space and navigate from place to place. So that's an important term that we're going to be talking about quite a bit in this talk. I also wanted to talk a little bit about disability culture and what that is. I found a really great definition by Steve Brown, who's a PhD, and he said, people with disabilities have forged a group identity. We share a common history of oppression and a common bond of resilience. We generate art, music, literature, and other expressions of our lives and our culture infused with our experience of disability. Most importantly, we are proud of ourselves as people with disabilities. We claim our disabilities with pride as part of our identity. We are who we are. We are people with disabilities. So that's a very important thing to remember, that when you talk about disability, it's not just about individual access, it's about access as a culture. And that's very important to acknowledge. The other terms that we're going to quickly review, crip theory, and cripping. So these definitions I got from an article called Crip Theory, which was written by Robert McClure and Emma Kassabaum. So crip theory affirms lived, embodied experience of disability and the knowledges that emerge from such experiences. At the same time, it is critical of the ways in which certain identities materialize and become representative to the exclusion of others that may not fit neatly within the dominant vocabularies of disability. So it's kind of the idea that crip theory is about all types of disabilities, not just a singular one. And it's also a reclaiming of the term, very similar in the way that queer or queer theory was reclaimed by the LGBTQ plus movement. Crip theory and crip is a term that the disability community is trying to take back and really use. And crip theory additionally offers an analytic that can be used for thinking about context or historical periods that do not seem on the surface to be about disability at all. Now, this is very important because oftentimes, historically, the disability that anyone had was kind of erased. So if somebody did something really great, kind of, for example, FDR, who was the president of the United States, he was a wheelchair user, but you don't hear much about that because that wasn't a part of himself that he liked to share with the public. And finally, cripping offers a critical process and considering how certain bodies or mental experience in whatever location or period have been marginalized or invisibilized, made pathological or deviant. Cripping is also a term that's used to say, to talk about events where the disability community inserts themselves into an able-bodied situation. So for example, we had an exhibition with some of our artists at the Art Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba, and we call this event Cripping the Arts. The title of the exhibition was cryptic, but we used the cripping term because we inserted ourselves into a location that is primarily not focused on disability art. So those are the terms that we may come across. Yeah, so now we're going to go on to the meat of the project, which is the wayfinding project that we worked on. Okay, so here's the concept of the project. Many public entrances to galleries, artist-run centers, and art studios in Winnipeg are inaccessible to persons with mobility issues. Some may have accessible entrance through a back door or convoluted entrance through other buildings. In 2014 was the Winnipeg Urban Idea Year of Dialogue, and we wish to encourage the public to play a part in discussing urban development with accessibility in mind. This dialogue we were hoping to bring broad awareness of how artists with disabilities not only navigate an ableist world, but put their perspectives at that world and how it could be changed for the better. So the project was organized to encourage Winnipeg citizens to include artists with disabilities into the general arts community, raise awareness and understanding of the barriers they face, contribute to future cultural development in our urban areas, allow artists with disabilities and the general public to participate together in a culture of our city by temporarily equalizing the access to a specific urban cultural spaces. So we did that through intervention art. Intervention art attempts to change the economic or political situations to make people aware of a condition that they previously had no knowledge. So artists engage with the public with their art/performances in a useful educational way that leads to understanding and discourse among people of different abilities. We also hope to raise the awareness of the necessity for physical access to all public spaces in our community. Aside from creating good design, these alterations added to the fun of the atmosphere of the evening. Public participation was key for this project. With the project, we hope to take away the barriers and also allow all to enter the public art spaces from the same entrance. This project allowed the art world to help lead the way for accessibility in public spaces and highlight the importance of art and design in city planning. So this is all very, it was a very timely event. In Winnipeg, we have an area called the Exchange District, which is kind of the center of the art world in Winnipeg. The area is full of local shops and art organizations and restaurants, and it's a very exciting place to be in. The downside of it is that the Exchange District is a historical site. So many of the buildings were built quite some time ago and without accessibility in mind, so they're not quite accessible. We also wanted to have this event on the first Friday. So First Fridays is an event that happens every first Friday of the month in the Exchange District, where all the art organizations kind of open their doors, invite the public in to kind of see new exhibitions, and really just to get more people involved in the art scene. So for us, this was a perfect night to do it on, because there would be a lot of people walking about, checking out spaces, and then we could really kind of catch people into our event to come in. So what we did is we approached the Fleet Gallery, which is a local gallery in the Exchange District, with this idea that we wanted to block off their front entrance, build a ramp in the back of the space, in the back alley of the space, and encourage everyone to enter from that back alley. And as they went through the alley, there would be an art exhibition, there would be musicians, there would be disability art videos that were playing, some special light installations, and really just create a party and create access and that discussion about civic access and the importance of it. So as you can see, the front doors, there are steps right in the front. So anyone who utilizes a wheelchair, or even those who use other mobility devices, may not be able to enter the space. The next images that we're going to see is the back of the space. So you can see the first image here on the upper left. It shows you this is the back alley into the Fleet Gallery. There is steps leading up to the back door, so it's also not an accessible entrance. So we had to build a ramp. So you can see in the second image here, the process of the ramp being built. Then following images are just more images of that ramp being built. You can see Ted Howarth, who is one of our board members, who tried out the ramp for the first time to test to make sure it was good. Okay, next, we're going to be looking at, so here's some of our artists that are hanging the art, then getting stuff ready. You can also see these yellow slated boxes, which were lit from the inside. And we use those not only in the back alley, but also to block off the front entrance of the Fleet Gallery. In order to access the gallery, folks were encouraged to enter the alley that was full of A&M members and art and music and videos. Yeah, and it was a really wonderful night. So this is us just prepping, getting ready for the event. All right, so you can see the event started a little bit earlier in the day. There are some images also from the nighttime. Here we have one of our local musician artists who was playing guitar. You can see there's quite a bit of a crowd there. So we got quite a few people engaged in this discussion. Next, we're going to see some more images of the event. So the gentleman in the upper left here, his name is Mike Page. He was the winner to the contest we had to create an installation project that would spark discussion. And so what he did is he created these really amazing wooden slated installations with really neat lighting inside, which you'll see more of in the nighttime shots. The woman in the lower right-hand corner is Susan Gibson. She was our founding member, so it was very exciting to have her there. The next images that we're going to see is of the event at nighttime. So you can see how exciting and how this really pulled people into this back alley that's usually not utilized with this amazing lights installation that Mike Page did. And I think we have a few more images close up of the, yes, so here is close-ups of the installation that he did. So with this event, it started at 7 and concluded at 11. And during the course of the evening, the gallery was full of people, many commenting on the unique idea that allows people without mobility issues to understand the barriers faced by those who are mobility challenged. The videos were well received and opened quite a bit of discussion and observation about disability art and civic and provincial funding of disability artists. So this event is just an example of how doing something so simple of blocking off a front entrance and encouraging everyone to go through the back way really caused and sparked discussion about what does it mean to have access to a space, and what does it mean to have to go through an alternative entrance. You know, we strongly feel that everyone should be able to come through the front door, the same entrance as everyone else. It really just puts everyone on an equal playing field. And this event really brought attention to these issues. So I hope you enjoyed this talk about access as a creative catalyst. And I look forward to speaking to some of you further. Okay, thank you so much.